That funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5. Eva Beam Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, all that good stuff. IE News World, Roy Blecker. Check us out. Subscribe, of course. We'll join the Mighty Mick KMET 1490 at the bottom of the hour. Of course, we'll have Dr. Kelly Victory on. Then, too, I know there's a lot of Dr. Kelly fans out there. The Bullet Train. Gavin Newsom had to bend the knee to Donald Trump as they withdrew the lawsuit they filed, him and B.S. Rob Bonta, our California Attorney General. We'll get to that in a second. Man, Nick Shirley has been killing it with the Somali fraud all across the board. There's a lot of intrigue to that whole enchilada. But then he comes out to California and exposes Camp Kamala, California. We'll get to all that and much, much more. High Grove murder of 19 years sees a arrest on a cold-blooded murder. One woman is arrested and a female is killed in Temecula, shot in Temecula when a female suspect is arrested. Fontana's Sammy Hagar. The Red Rocker donated $10,000 to that boy who was injured in that helicopter crash down in Huntington Beach a couple of months ago. Redlands crime spree breaking out all over the place. Man, they had a rowdy and raucous Redlands going on. But lead story of the day. Again, Gavin Newsom had to bend the knee to Donald Trump, revoke their lawsuit. Remember when B.S. Bonta and Newsom was out there crowing about how, the mean and evil Donald J. Trump was withholding federal funds, wouldn't give us $4 billion to stuff down the toilet known as a bullet train boondoggle going on. Well, Friday, in a chicken bleat move, if you want to hide something, do it on Friday night or Saturday morning when everybody's trying to get home, get on vacation, especially on a holiday weekend, just after Christmas. Oh, we're revoking the lawsuit that mean Donald Trump was holding the money and we were suing. Well, they ain't suing no more. Out goes that. Again, that was one of the most chicken bleat moves. And they said, well, we're going to get private funding. Who? I would like to know the complete idiot. The complete idiot. Investor, hedge fund, almost a trillionaire Elon Musk, that would take a penny and split it in 10 and put 1/10 of a cent into that. Absolutely 1,000% a goner. Let's get the initials on the KCRA report. Hopefully.
Trump administration announcing that it is now pulling $4 billion of funding for California's high-speed rail project. The transportation secretary calling it the train to nowhere.
The Federal Railroad Administration announced back in June that it planned to cut all funding for the project due to missed deadlines and rising costs. The high-speed rail project was approved by voters back in 2008. Since then, its price tag has ballooned to more than $100 billion.
133 to be exact. And it started out as 33 million. This whole thing was supposed to cost us when they talked to people, not me, but the dumb people of California, the majority of them, the majority of stupids living here. And that's what you are. Let's cut to the chase. Anybody that votes for this crap, anybody that votes for this ridiculous crap you deserve a life in hell. Let's get on the stick and quit voting for these complete idiots. We got a 75% legislature of stupids. And we keep doubling down on it. When do we stop the insanity? Holy cow. It's absolutely 1,000% ridiculous. Another lead story we had on IE Newswire, of course, NEWSOM wrecked it. California exodus. Oh, they said we had a gain in population. 0.05%, 0.05%. 19,000 we grew out of 39.5 million people. Big cities and the urban areas were ones that lost. Of course, we have the mass exodus of native-born Americans, Californians, fleeing the state in droves. The only reason in the last 20 years California population has grown is because of immigration, legal and mostly illegal. 260,000 international arrivals, as they said. Those are mostly illegal aliens. And that's just what they reported. The number's probably 10 times that. We have no idea. When will we put our foot down? When will you, those in 30 years ago in 94, admit we were not a bunch of white racist hillbillies wanting to kill anybody, brown and billers, throw them out of the country? We were right. And we're living the consequences of those votes. When we voted for 187, but it got thrown out in the courts. And then when they got enough illegals and very poor people who vote Democratic or left to finally step, oh, we don't want to discriminate or racist or everybody can just come in. Well, we've seen how it's ruined California, and Newsom wrecked it. Jerry Brown wrecked it. Even Arnold wrecked it. Gray Davis wrecked it. It's about time we start admitting to frickin' reality around here. We're not sugarcoating. We're going into 26. Maybe this will be the theme. No sugarcoating. We just want the truth. We want it fixed, and we want it done now. We're going to get into the whole Somali corruption, and people have asked, even Sheriff Chad asked, well, why didn't Nick Shirley come out here? He's already been here. And if you would be listening to this show or come in, Sheriff Chad, you would know this. We posted this up on IE Newswire, and this is what needs to start happening. Elon Musk was right. There is at least, without a doubt, 20% or better, 30% of the $6 trillion budget that is just flat out fraud. Not waste and abuse, fraud. There's no comparison. We're going to blow the S out of corruption in D.C. through Minnesota, through California. Lock, stock, and frickin' barrel. I mean, Musk put it out on the X machine. He said my lower bound guess was 20% of the federal budget is fraud. that would be 1.5 trillion. And we can't cut $1 trillion off the 26 federal budget needs to be chopped at a minimum. We should start with 2 trillion, but it should not get below 1 trillion. We're never going to fix this stuff if we don't do this. Remember when Gavin Newsom rolled this at the budget talks? We can't find, it doesn't surprise me, we don't know where $24 billion went with the vagrants.
I also acknowledge that we need to do more, not just in the homeless bucket, but also the mental health / homelessness bucket. That's why Proposition 1 had subsequent reforms as it relates to a requirement by July of 2026 to have one single plan for all funding sources for mental health at the local level, with more transparency, auditing, and oversight, again, of the local spend. So that audit didn't surprise me in the least, quite the contrary.
That audit did not surprise me in the least. He was not surprised $24 billion went out the toilet. Because that's probably where the $9 million and the $4 million mansion, you don't have one but two, one in San Francisco and one in San Fran. Analysis shows California unemployment fraud at 33 billion and counting. We'll get into the Nick Shirley, Somalia to California connection, show you Kamala, California. I bet you didn't know there was a Kamala, California. Nick Shirley and crew pointed it out, along with Somali fraud and that. Much, much more we'll get into on today's show. Yes, we will. We'll hit with the whole Nick Shirley, Somali fraud. I think he got 100 million views on the original video coming up. And I want to reemphasize, Musk put it up here, and we need to pay attention. Remember, he said, and we put it up, 20% of the federal budget, minimum, 1.5 trillion. Doge 2.0 needs to come back in 2026, and we need to blow the S out of the corruption in D.C., in Minnesota, to California, and all points in between. Nothing really that should be 100% of our focus. Because if it's not, we're just going to continue to bury everything. And that's not going to do anyone, anywhere, at any time, any good. All this other stuff is just meaningless. And this number's probably low. It went from possibly $1 billion to $9 billion to now over 20, 30, 40 billion in Minnesota. What the latest report, I think, from California Globe, 76 million in fraud and varied between the bullet train, unemployment fraud, vagrant housing fraud, and I think that's a low number in California. Tampon Timmy the retard Walls. The retard. It's flat amazing sometimes that we're sitting here. Again, we need to cut a minimum. We should start with 2. We need to cut a minimum of $1 trillion off the budget coming up. I don't care how Trump should veto any bill that does not cut at a minimum $1 trillion. Or we're never solving this stuff. We can have Shirley could get 3 billion views on his video, which we'll run here in a second. That's not good. The great thing about the Nick Shirley videos is bringing it to light. Where all this supposed fraud has been coming from. But we'll get to the Nick Shirley, Minnesota stuff in a second. But most people, Sheriff Chad said, well, Nick Shirley should be coming to, will you come to California? Well, he's already been here. In fact, he did a video of Kamala, California. Bet you didn't know there was a Kamala, California. Well, it's where from Gavin Newsom and Comrade Kamala and Jerry Brown and all that, the Oakland, San Fran area. It's an island of fentanyl, fraud, and just absolutely effed up area. The schools are junk. The kids don't get an education. In-N-Out Burgers closed because of the crime. Kaiser Hospital told their people, do not go outside. Don't go outside to go to lunch because we can't. You're taking your life into your hands. This is Sheriff Chad, Nick Shirley in California. This should be getting, if Minnesota is getting $100 million, this should be getting $3 billion because that's how worse California is.
But it's probably not a great idea for you guys to just be walking around on foot.
The decline of Western civilization, and every day it's getting worse. Billions of dollars have been spent only for the situation to get worse. Thousands.
Where are we going right now, Darren?
We are entering what has become known as Kamalaville.
Yeah, everybody. Now, this is the hometown of Kamala Harris. We are in Oakland right now.
The country is considered to be the most underdeveloped, poverty-stricken, marginalized regions of the world, often characterized by populations with little to no political connection, living in nomadic communities or as part of tribes. Extreme poverty. This is not the America we grew up in.
No kidding. It's not the America. This is not the California we grew up in. It ain't even the Bay Area we grew up in. Even as bad, 50 years ago, as bad as Oakland was, you know, the old joke was, if you dropped your keys in San Francisco, you kicked them to Oakland and take your chance on getting mugged. And you figure out the joke of why that is. That was 50 years ago. It was one, not only in the United States, probably the #1 tourist vacation in the United States, maybe the world, 50 years ago. Now, you couldn't fly somebody in on a G6, give them the finest hotels, limousine rides everywhere to go to San Francisco, Oakland, because it looks like this crap. The cardboard, pallet city homes. They got quasi de facto illegal contractors that build. You can't even call these hovels. Squalor. Out of cardboard and pallets and whatever crap they're doing, and then they just strewn it all over the place. This is flippin' ridiculous. More from Nick Shirley in California.
I mean, if my grandparents were alive, they would be sick to their stomachs. They're probably rolling in their graves right now. Oakland, this should be the Palo Alto, right? Oakland could have been the Palo Alto, but it wasn't safe enough to invest in, so everyone had to go to San Jose. And now we have a massive exodus. I mean, the Warriors basketball team, the Oakland Athletic A's, and the Oakland Raiders. They all got the hell out of Dodge, and now this community has become a mecca for the destitute. You guys are going to see some...
A mecca of destitute. Mecca for the destitute. Mecca of a hellhole. You want to see some horrible stuff as the video shows? Holy bleeping cow.
Horrible stuff, man. When we get to Lake Merritt, it's going to be horrible. So
Okay, we might just be able to talk to the residents around here and see what they have to say about all this stuff. I mean, this is wild, everybody. She's working the corner.
that's the blade.
The blade, is this normal to see out here?
Nope. Not on the record, right?
I'm not going down like that. We're not going down like that. The people who voted for me deserve to have their voices heard and communities prioritized. I'm seeking the truth right now, just as much as you all are. But I will not be bullied, and I will not be disparaged, and I will not be threatened out of this office. There are a lot of radical right-wing forces who know they will never win an election in Oakland fair and square.
Alameda County. And this is Shangtao, the indicted ex-mayor, recalled mayor, giving us lectures with the white hillbilly, bunch of racists. Alameda County is the king of fraud. I will go to the bond that passed in March of 24. Way to beat that. They kept running it. We actually took the lead of defeating that. And then notice they always hold LA and Alameda County are always the slowest and the last to come in. Because if they got to manufacture the votes, they manufacture them right there in Kamalaville, California, Shangtao, with their buddies, the Dongs, and the BS Bonas, who've been taking all this money from us for 87 gazillion years, stealing, fraud. California can make Minnesota and Tampon Timmy, the retard walls, look like paupers in fraud and corruption and government screwing you over.
They know their extreme views are at odds with our Oakland values, but they have built the rules to protect
Oakland values, you ignorant C, as Chevy Chase said on Saturday Night Live. Like the guy said, Oakland could have been the San Jose. And that's when Oakland was still fair. A Alice in Wonderland compared to what it is now.
and preserve their power and maintain dominance over the rest.
And this is who Rob and Mia Bonta are in bed with the dongs and the corruption
of the world. And I think what really made something inside me snapped when I was living in downtown. I still live in San Francisco. I was living in one of my old apartment buildings in Chinatown. It was like 5 a.m. I was laying there with one of my girlfriends at the time. And next thing you know, and it was really strange because I had just all of a sudden awoken from my sleep. You know, I never really naturally wake up at 5 a.m., right? So for some reason, I'm like, why am I awake this early in the morning? And then I also had this unexplainable feeling as if something bad was going to happen. No less than 10 seconds later, after opening my eyes and having those strange premonitions,
That guy's walking down, just walking on the street with his pants down.
my door got kicked in. by a burglar. And next thing you know, I'm on my 2 feet fighting off a burglar with my 2 hands, and my girl's screaming bloody murder. And I fought the burglar off and all that, and then I called 911, got a voicemail.
This is about all of us.
Got a voicemail. Called the cops. This is why you should have a firearm if you're inclined and comfortable using them. Because the cops ain't going to be there when the dude kicks your door in. Here's maybe the biggest piece of S that has ever been walked the earth in planet history.
This is about you. California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next. Democracy is under assault.
They give us this lecture. Yeah, democracy is under assault because of you, a-hole. And tampon the retard Timmy Walls. Wait till you, maybe we'll get to it tomorrow. Wait till you hear what some of the people they did in Kamalaville. Wait till you see what Shirley, and I can't remember the other guy's names, interviews is in that. Sheriff Chad, not that we don't need Nick Shirley's help. We need your help. We need you to go up to the Board of Supervisors in Riverside and tell them, we ain't taking this crap. We don't want JVW up there kissing Newsom's ass, getting more money for the vagrants in here so we can all rip everybody off. Screw that. Have enough guts to go up there and tell that frickin' Board of Supervisors, like yours truly and many others have, be hiding behind the badge. Get your ass out there. If you think you're badass is the image you try to do, Chad, then let's join us in your area where you are sheriff and tell it like it is. We got an army of people that can do this. Why don't you join us? How come we'll get to the Nick Shirley. And he's had lots of videos. This one says it all. What is it about these psychotic, psycho chick, white chicks that have Trump derangement system, mental illness to the maximum, and you see them everywhere coming up, and they're the ones like Shang Tao shouting you down, racist and all this. It's what you're doing with Nick Shirley and his guy. This is the kind of crap they go through. This is the mentality that's got us in the position we are, and we got to chop it off. We don't need to be chopping off teenage girls' breasts or teenage boys' Johnson. We need to chop off the stupidity and the idiots that are doing this.
Which actually spells Quality Leering Center on the outside of their sign. That's how blatant this fraud is here at this daycare.
Leering Center. Leering on supposed to be a daycare center in Minnesota taking care of littles, toddlers, before school age, before 5.
So this is Quality Leering Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center.
Don't open up!
They said they spelled learning wrong.
Don't open up!
How do you have ice here, ma'am? I'm literally a YouTuber.
Don't open up!
Ma'am, what do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Don't open up! We have ice!
Ma'am, what do you think about this place being licensed for 99 children
Don't open up!
and getting $4 million
Don't
over
open
the
up! It's ice!
$4 million in the last 2 years?
Go away!
What do you think about that? Are you in
Go
favor?
away!
Are you in favor of that?
Go away!
You know where
You're not welcome here!
Are you-
Shame on you!
Are you in favor of 1.9 million?
Go away! Go away! Shame on you. Eyes! What kind of psychosis or drugs or what that you got to have to do that? And we see this isn't just, you thought it was just us kooks out in fruits and nuts of California? I've told you, don't let the cancer of California spread across the 49 states. And the vast majority of you sit there and ignore this. And then you say when it comes to Minnesota, or Dubuque, Iowa, or Bear, Vermont, or Asheville, North Carolina, oh, you say, how does this happen?
$1 million going illegally, fraudulently to this business that has quality learning center but can't even spell learning right on the door.
Leering center, holy freaking cow. In a top 5 and under kids are supposed to be there. Maybe it's a blessing they're not there, if they're not. This is absolutely insane. Was it the old Eddie Murphy movie? Somebody made a meme of this. Somalis running businesses with no clients. I mean, started off with $1 billion, then $9 billion, then $24 billion in fraud. What, in less than a week? Here's the latest from Nick Shirley. Place getting what? 3.6 million? That place was only getting 1.9. They were getting shortchanged.
Here at Future Leaders Early Learning Center, this building received over $3 million. Hello, how are you? I would like to see if I could bring little Joey, my son little Joey here. Is there paperwork or can I check out the daycare? No? Why can't I check out the daycare? Okay, but if can I get paperwork or anything to submit my son little Joey to come in here to daycare? We'd really like to put Joey in this daycare. We've heard great things.
Business card?
No, I would like your business card, actually.
Business card? She asked for a business card from a supposed dad, which Nick Shirley doesn't have any kids, but so she doesn't know. So they asked the parents for a business card to put their kids in a daycare center that's getting 3.6 or whatever million. This is absolute insanity. That's just the latest Nick Shirley's put out. Not only that, you know, that member of the Minny legislature that got killed, assassinated, and the other, she was uncovering not only that in-home health care fraud they're starting to come up with and everything else. Elon Musk posted this from Geiger Capital. I mean, holy flippin' bejesus. Fake medical centers, claiming kids had autism and they had to do this. That lady got assassinated, remember, because of Trump and all this other, and their Trump derangement syndrome and all that other stuff. Well, now she was the one that was protesting a lot of this stuff and saying there needed to be investigations, and bang, boom, dude walks up and shoots her and her husband. I think it stops there. Here's Ohio.
So these individuals tried to report the fraud that was happening in Ohio and then eventually came to me to say that we're watching providers rubber stamp paperwork for home health. So in Ohio, and there's many states like this, Pennsylvania and other states too, where you can go in and you can say my aging parent needs a home health care and I want to provide it. So the state will, as long as it...
And and they tug at your heartstrings, and we're going to save you money and all this. It's not that it isn't a worthwhile cause. Royism 101, no matter how well-intentioned. All government, 98.7% of all government programs wind up in graft, corruption, and failure. Why can't...
1 minute, Roy.
How does Omar go from a net worth of $45,000 to $30 million in 6 years? We'll get into maybe with the stuff with the illegals and everything. It's just...
I got Dr. Kelly calling in right now.
It's mind-boggling.
Good afternoon, Dr. Kelly. How are you?
Really mind-boggling how all this stuff...
Not too bad, not too bad.
It's...
wish you have a happy new year and a safe one, huh?
Absolutely ridiculous. We'll be joining the Mighty Met, KMET, here in a few seconds.
Yeah, I don't either. Okay, everybody, here we go. 10 seconds.
And we'll be back.
And roll with the best hillbilly hoedown around.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
That funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band, join a vast video audience in the Overbidden Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, IE Newswire, Roy Bleckert. You find my nice, smiling, shining face on there. Absolute. Between, finally, Gavin Newsom had to bend the knee to Donald Trump and drop the lawsuit him and B.S. Rob Bonner, our Attorney General, put on the bullet train. Trump said you ain't getting no more money just to throw it down the frickin' toilet. And Newsom had to jerk the lawsuit because he knew he was going to lose. And he should. On top of that, the Somali fraud that Nick Shirley's put out. But people are missing his video he put out on California and Kamalaville. And I guarantee whatever Somalians went through was started at $1 billion, now what's it up to $24 billion or more in fraud. We can do that times 300 here in California. With the latest estimate is just $76 billion without even counting on fraud here in California. But as we usually do on a Monday, we have, as I've determined, her the supreme physician in all the world, expert on COVID-19 and just about everything else, Dr. Kelly Victory. Welcome to iNewsWire with Roy.
Hey, Roy. Always good to be with you. Hope you had a good Christmas and are looking forward to the start of a brand new year with all the good things that the Trump administration will deliver to us.
1,000%. And I hope, I put it out today, I think, on the Minny of this. We need to bring back Doge 2.0 in 2026. We need to blow the S out of corruption, not only in the District of Criminals, but from there to Minnesota to California and all points in between, Dr. Kelly.
I'll tell you, it is so important. And by the way, yes, I don't know why Doge was such a short-lived thing, because there's lots more work to do. And I think a great new focus would be exactly that, the corruption. It is remarkable to me that this has been largely exposed not by the Department of Justice, but by actual individual citizens. It really was individual, thoughtful citizens driving around their own city, in this case, Minneapolis, and saying, wait a minute, there are all of these daycare centers that are boarded up with no children around, yet, what is this all about? and they actually did investigative journalism. They tracked it down, and they're the ones, much like a James O'Keefe, who exposed this. And the guy who made this recent video going around and trying to, ask all these Somalis, hey, by the way, where are the children? What'd you do with all the money? And having the doors slammed in his face. That video has been now viewed, 100 million times or something. But shouldn't it really be the job of, number one, the mainstream media outlets, and then our government agencies doing, the deep dive on this? It really came down not that way.
We should be thankful, I think, that Elon Musk took over Twitter and now calls it X, and we have the ability to get out there instead of being thrown off every 10 seconds if you said anything either the establishment or the government or didn't want you to say. And that's the thing. Yeah, but in a perfect world, and it was that, then, but that day is long in the rearview mirror, and maybe, thank goodness, maybe we need to get rid of, just by the way of the buggy whips or whatever, the traditional, stupid, idiotic, in control, in the tank for the you-know-whats media. Just, they're on their way to irrelevancy. They're not covering this story or anything else. Most of the major networks are not covering the Somali fraud deal. Of that, and if they do, it's barely coming up on their radar screen, like it doesn't even exist. They're trying to wish it away, and maybe they will go away the dodo bird or anything else, Dr. Kelly.
No, listen, I heard that some of them, the mainstream media today saying things like, oh, the Somalis are being scapegoated. I'm saying scapegoated. They are responsible for defrauding, taxpayers of the state of Minnesota out of billions of dollars, with the assistance, by the way, of Tim Walz. But the reality is, no one's being scapegoated. This is, absolutely what happened. This was a racket. It's been going on for over a decade. It was a well-known secret in the Somali community in that region of the country that it was fundamentally a slush fund. It was, absolutely the easiest way to steal money. They got billions and billions of dollars, and Tim Walz and his other, feckless band of incompetent, twits who run that state absolutely allowed it to happen. And I think people did try, apparently, over the years to bring it to Tim Walz's attention. He never investigated it. He probably was getting some kickbacks, by the way, for it. And it's a high time that people get held accountable. But to say that, the mainstream media, right on cue, acting as if the Somali community is somehow being targeted, or that this is racist or bigoted, or it's because we don't like Ilhan Omar. No, it's actually we don't like fraud and corruption, stealing from the, mouths of hardworking Americans.
On this show, we only refer to him by his full name, Tampon Timmy the Retard Walz. And between Kamalaville, we ran Nick Shirley did a video. We ran it here, a little bit of it. We'll get into more of it tomorrow, but everybody should watch that, of Kamalaville in Oakland, California, which it's become, of that. And you're already seeing it. You want to see what's previewed again in Dubuque, Minnesota, or Bear, Vermont, or Asheville, North Carolina, or wherever. That's what's coming to your town. Just like this. What's coming to your town next is what's happening in Minnesota or anywhere else if we don't stop this stuff, Dr. Kelly.
No, I agree. And the problem is that so many people are ill-informed. So many people don't really see what's going on. And because, let's face it, short of perhaps Newsmax and Real America's Voice, not many news outlets even show that video footage. So people haven't seen it on your show, or they don't see it on one of the few conservative news outlets. They're not aware that it's really going on. There are still a lot of Americans, Roy, who believe that the protests were peaceful. That don't understand that entire cities were burned down. Entire business districts were destroyed. People's livelihoods were upended. those protests were anything but peaceful. Most Americans, tragically, are ill-informed. They don't see it. The mainstream media keeps it very much hidden, and there are a lot of people. It will take a lot to get this information out about this Somali fraud that's been going on, and that's why these citizen journalists are so powerful, and why we need to elevate them and give them platforms, whether it's James O'Keefe or this Shirley guy. People, we need to give them an outlet because they are doing the heavy lifting that will wake Americans up.
News Nation came out with on the in-home healthcare fraud, which is now starting to break in Minnesota and everywhere else. We had the one of another lady in Ohio, Pennsylvania. Of course, California is probably leading the pack in this. I watched it. They tug at your heartstrings with this stuff. But what's even interesting is that lady that took a bullet and her husband and the other legislator there was in Minnesota or wherever it was, that was investigating this stuff or calling it out. Pretty soon, the last thing she hears is a boom with a bullet going through her head and all that. And again, nobody was paying any attention to this stuff or very little. It was just like, okay, News Nation, a couple other people were calling it out. And then it just gets like buried under the sand. Well, now maybe this will be in 2026, maybe the majority will start waking up and seeing exactly how they've been getting screwed over, Dr. Kelly.
I agree. And it's going to take really an all-hands-on-deck effort. As I said, I think it would be the perfect focus for 2026 for a new iteration of DOGE, but it's going to take the FBI, it's going to take Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and a lot of people to get in there to investigate who's involved in this, who knew about it, and kick people out. People need to get deported, denaturalized. Get them the hell out of this country. This is a systematic attempt to bring in people from other countries and other cultures that don't assimilate with ours, and then help them commit fraud against the American people. They all end up on the welfare doles. They end up getting free health care. They end up getting free housing subsidies and education subsidies and food subsidies. And then on top of it, they have the gall to rip off their fellow taxpayers, to the tunes of billions of dollars. This has got to stop. This is one of the biggest stories, truly, of the last 50 years with regard to fraud, and it is a big deal. It needs to get rectified, and people need to pay for their contribution to it.
And 100%. And Elon was on with Ted Cruz on that, and he said, he said minimum $1.5 trillion, 20%, and he said that's a low number of fraud in the federal budget. He said the single biggest thing Democrats are worried about is turning off the fraudulent payment to illegals. By using entitlement fraud, the Democrats have been able to attract and retain vast numbers of illegal immigrants and buy their votes. And now we're fixing elections, funding foreign countries, and God knows what, Dr. Kelly.
No, I agree, and that's why I'm hoping that we can really return and double down on the America First agenda. That you really don't need to say much more, Roy, but America first. We're not anti-immigrant. We're not anti-this or anti-that. What we are is pro-America. I'm pro-America. And, I'll tell you right now, charity begins at home. Until we don't have, Americans who are homeless and starving on the street, I'm done sending money overseas, bailing people out of wars we shouldn't be involved in. And God knows we don't need to bring in any more immigrants who can't take care of themselves. We need to bring people, if you want to have immigrants, great. Bring in people who are educated and can contribute to our society, who will get jobs, pay taxes, build companies, serve in our military. That's who we want here. What we don't need is a bunch of more people who are incapable of fending for themselves, and because we simply can't afford it. And we will end up like Venezuela quicker than you think It will happen more quickly than you think, and they were already seeing it, as you said. Look at Oakland right now. Look at Chicago. Look at San Francisco and Minneapolis and Detroit, and I could go on and on. These cities are not coming back anytime soon, and it's because they've gone down that path. New York City, get ready for it. This Mondani fool, geez, he's absolutely incapable of running that city, and what he plans or wants to implement will destroy the city. Certainly the tax base will leave. Crime is going to, escalate, and it will very quickly start to look like all the other poorly managed Democrat-run cities.
Switching gears a little bit, you reposted on X a video about is there another pandemic coming? I'm sure this may be another false flag that they're going to do on that Gates and Fauci and Hoyts and all those guys. Here's a short bit of that clip. Here we go.
For me, like a rehearsal.
There will absolutely be an outbreak of another pandemic. It may be next year.
We just need to mess around. There's a lot of lipid nanoparticles, and some are very self-assembly.
We know what's next. A new wave of pandemics is going to be upon us.
I'm convinced that there will be another pandemic.
Oh, certainly we'll have one in the next 25 years.
I can almost guarantee you and I don't think you're going to put the genie back in the bottle. If this fraud thing and investigations and stuff really takes hold in 26, it would not surprise me if they try to pull another COVID con, whatever. They probably already got it in the bag of figuring out, but what say you, Dr. Kelly?
Oh, they'll absolutely try again. This is the satanic group that pulled off the last one, and you listed some of the names, Borla and Gates and Fauci and Hotez and the big group of them who brought us the last pandemic, everything from contributing to the actual development of COVID-19, the actual virus, over at the lab in Wuhan, to every single thing that was done in conjunction with the pandemic, the lockdown, the masking, the social distancing, and God knows the toxic mRNA shots. They are planning another one, and they will launch it at a time that's expedient, whatever's politically and economically expedient for them. They will use it because it was so successful the last time, Roy. They were able to get people to do ridiculous things so quickly because they were able to utilize fear, manipulate people, control where they traveled, whether they worked, what they did, what they ate, who they socialized with, and on and on. And you better believe they will do it again. The only question that remains is what portion of the population actually, may have fallen for it last time, but now got the clue and is now awake enough that they will say, no way, not doing it again. Because unless it's a large portion, unless it's more than 50% of the people who fell for it last time, we're in for it again because they absolutely will do it again.
We need in America a crash course in badass. We need to eliminate all this stuff of all the people that are, you can't say this, or like you can't say tampon, Timmy the retard waltz, or this, or shaming her, like the psycho chick that was yelling ice, and Nick Shirley and the guy out there, and just having an absolute meltdown of this, and didn't care that $2 million in a building that was named the Leering Center that was supposed to have kids, toddlers in it. I mean, if in order to endure this, and if it's coming, and I'm 98.7% sure it's coming, we gotta be a much tougher, grittier nation like we were from 1776 up till a few years ago, Dr. Kelly.
I agree. And what it really takes, this last pandemic wouldn't have happened if more people had been willing, had the guts to stand up and say no. Look, you and I did it, and I'm still here, okay? Did they threaten me? Yes, they did. Did they badger me? Absolutely. Did I get kicked off social media 25,000 times? Yes, I did. And was it a pain? Absolutely. But it was all of that happened because so many other people refuse to do it. If my colleagues, look, this isn't the first time that something really bad was perpetrated on humanity with the assistance of physicians. My colleagues did not back me up. If they had, if the rest of the doctors, obviously a handful of us did, but if everybody else had just, not just said, not only no, but hell no, we're not doing this, is ridiculous, we know better than this, it wouldn't have happened. So all it takes, as you just said it, we need a crash course in badass. And all it means is turning around and saying, nope, not doing it. It's not a law. It's not. There's no law that says I have to wear a mask. There's no law that you can pass that can force me to take a vaccine. You can act like there's one, but there's not, and I'm not doing it. And if more people develop that attitude, Roy, honestly, we'll turn it around.
1,000%. We got a couple of minutes left. Anything else our audience should know? Go.
Well, again, it's been pretty quiet recently, but they've already run up the flagpole. The pending quad-demic. The very scary. It's the holidays, so be worried about the quad-demic because 3 wasn't enough. So now they're trying to make you be fearful of COVID, RSV, influenza, and then they threw in norovirus for good measure, trying to lead people to believe that this year is somehow particularly bad. It's a super flu. It's different. And then when you ask them, well, what are the symptoms of the super flu? They say, fever, chills, sore throat, cough. I'm like, just like every other flu that we've ever had. So in other words, it's just like every other flu, and you need to take some Tylenol, some ibuprofen, drink lots of fluids, take some decongestants and antihistamines if you need them. There's cough medication at, your local pharmacy that you can pick up. If you stay in bed, eat chicken soup, and you will be fine in 5 to 7 days. Okay, that's the answer. The flu shot is an absolute dud. It's a dud of most years, but it's particularly ineffective this year. So I never get a flu shot. I don't recommend that people get them because they simply don't work. You're far better off paying attention to your overall health and wellness. And if you do get sick, do the things I just rattled off. And the vast majority of people, 99.999% of people, will be just fine.
10-4. Thanks for being on, Dr. Kelly. We'll do this again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Troy.
Dr. Kelly Victory saying it only as she can, as we say every day. And she's right. I mean, I've been on it a lot of. That's why I didn't take money during the COVID con. That I mean, could have took a lot of advertising dollars, but those advertising dollars or whatever bribe money or whatever it was came with. You could not talk about COVID or any of that other stuff going on, or you had to run the company line. That anytime you take money, it always comes with strings somewhere. I don't care who, how, or why, or what you want to say. That's just a plain reality truth. There's no other way around it. I mean, I don't care if you're making a deal with the hooker down the street or you're doing multi-billion-dollar deals on Wall Street. That money comes with strings or expectations. Bottom line. You might not want to hear that. But that's the reality, folks. Part of our toughing up. We need to be more badass in 2026, or we're going down with the flipping ship, as we say on that. Get to some of the local genre, which was a little bit interesting, as we say. Woman shot dead in Temecula. Female suspect charged with murder. Nicola Hernandez, 31, of Temecula, was arrested in that. As far as the last I heard, but we'll follow up with an update if we get one, the victim was not identified, so we'll see. I don't want to conjure up things, but who knows. Fontana's own Sammy Hagar, the Red Rocker, he had his own solo career, Van Halen, Montrose, and a lot of others, gave $10,000 to that boy that got injured in that helicopter crash in Huntington Beach about 2 months ago. He got hit by some of the debris or something hitting down. Had a real rough go of it. I think he's still in and out of the hospital with those injuries, but absolutely fantastic from Sammy Hagar giving him $10,000 to Oliver Holland, the boy who was injured in that helicopter crash. This was a shocker. Murder from 19 years ago. Cold-blooded killer suspect caught. Anthony Mira was arrested for the 2006 murder after the cold case was reopened. 19 years of justice delayed. Let's hope we get a conviction. Doesn't old Anthony Mira look lovely with all those tattoos? All you chicks that just love these tattoos, that's really what tattoos, this is what it symbolizes. Fake badass, not real badass. Phony, fake. Rowdy and raucous Redlands, a crime wave of con artist streak takeovers and a laser strike on the cops. Don't know what's going down here, but the sleepy little town of Redlands just shows you what may be the deterioration going on in California. It's, hey, we got choices. We always do. One of the Royisms 101. Again, no matter what you believe in, God or the heavens or Mother Nature or everything just went poof, whatever. You can have 10 gazillion bad choices laid in front of you. But the right choice in every situation is always at your fingertips. The bad thing is, too many times here lately, we've been going with the wrong choices. The good news is in 26, in the future, we can turn that around and not be influenced, screwed around, or whatever by and make the right choices. And if we start making the right choices, then we won't be hearing all this lovely stuff we have to report to you. Oh, man. That'll do it for today. We usually say at this time, mandatory, you're back here in 23 hours. Why? To hear the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
The following is a paid
Oops.
Oops. Told you no mistakes.
Yeah. Played an intro instead of an outro.
Oh.
All right, Roy. Well, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You got it. We'll see you.
Bye now.
Oh, I need the other one, guys.